Thank you for watching this special episode of Counterpoints on Al Arabiya English. I'm Melinda Nusafora. Well, it was at this very summit, the Manama Dialogue in Bahrain, that news broke last year that Bashar al-Assad had been ousted from power in Syria. So it is my great pleasure to be able to welcome Dr. Najib Ghadbian here to our conversation, the Director for the Centre of Strategic Studies within the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Syria. Dr. Ghadbian, thanks so much for being here on Counterpoints.
Thank you for having me.
More than a decade ago, in about 2013, you left your role as a university professor and you took up a position as a major Syrian opposition figure, taking up the role of Syria's opposition coalition representative to the United States. 12 years on, you're now operating within a transitional government in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Describe what that feels like.
It's overwhelming. For so many years, many of us have been in the opposition to the Assad regime. Some of us, actually, myself included, even before the 2011. We always felt that the Syrian regime was an anomaly. It's focused on creating a state of fear in Syria, and the world watched what unfolded with the collapse of the regime. This is something we always knew that. But honestly, December 8 was a bit of surprise to some of us because we reached a point where we felt that there was a kind of a dead end, with the Syria. The complexity of the Syria conflict having a local, regional, international level made some of us really almost believe this is not going to happen soon. So it was an overwhelming, sense of, satisfaction, euphoria, if you will. But again, some of us would even believe there was like a divine intervention in what happened on that night.
Countries are slowly starting to re-establish their diplomatic relationships with the new transitional government. How hard is it to rehabilitate Syria's reputation on the world stage? And what do you think the main challenges are to greater diplomatic recognition?
Actually, assuming normal relations with the rest of the world hasn't been that difficult. For once, the Assad regime, was a source of instability to its neighbors. Just look at the last 2 years. It's been nicknamed as a narco state. He was exporting Captagon to the neighbors, exporting trouble, exporting weapons to groups like Hezbollah and so on and so forth. So when the change happened, I think most countries realized that this is a great opportunity to really rehabilitate the whole country, first into its Arab, kind of really normal place. Second, that this country, which has been a source of instability to the rest of the world, can be the opposite. But the challenges are, really great, some of which have to do with the legacy left by the regime. Having a huge refugees problems around the world, lacking resources. The current government inherited a destroyed country, literally. 75% of the infrastructure is destroyed, 90% of the people under poverty. So to come back to not only the world stage, which actually a lot of people say we've made a good progress toward that, but to lift the country out of those levels of misery is going to take some time.
And with that, there is also so much scrutiny on the transitional government. We had elections recently, praised in some quarters, criticised in others for not having enough ethnic diversity, not having enough women represented, and we still see bouts of sectarian violence and ethnic violence across the country. How does the government address that sort of criticism?
I think by first acknowledging those are real challenges. Those are real issues that we have to address. Any country that went through the post-conflict reconstruction, faced similar challenges. And there is a great deal of political will to address all of them. For instance, the elections could have not happened. We could have not had like a normal elections when half of your population are displaced, when you don't have registry of so many people and addresses. So I think the choice was to do like the semi-election, to have a electoral college, if you will, and from which you select people. I think that we will hopefully see that the appointment by the president is going to address some of the lack of representation but there is no intention to exclude anyone, any community. And it was unfortunate, there were the event in the coast and finally in Suweida. I mean, the Suweida events had something to do with a troubling neighboring country called Israel. So that was difficult to really do, but definitely we want national solutions to these problems. We want to address all of these communities. I would say legitimate demands to be included and to have equal citizenship for all.
The major Saudi Arabian firms are looking to invest billions of dollars in Syria as part of the country's rebuilding efforts. You mentioned there how much of the country has been destroyed. How vital is investment like that from a country like Saudi Arabia?
Extremely, extremely vital. Number one, we need to mention that Saudi Arabia was one of the first, forthcoming countries to really recognize the new government and to show willingness to support it. I mean, let's not forget the Crown Prince invitation of Mr. al-Shara to meet with President Trump, which, led to...
Did that come as a shock?
Not as a shock for some of us who have been following the development, but definitely it was in the minds of so many as important as the liberation itself, because it saved us time and energy and money to be able just to lobby for the suspension of those sanctions. Of course, we hope now they would be lifted totally with an act of Congress. So I think, prior to this willingness to invest in Syria, there was this political support, which is extremely, extremely important. It provided the country with the opportunity again to be received by other countries because of the credibility of Saudi Arabia. And so now I think everybody is waiting for those promises, those understandings, those meetings. And our president was in Saudi 2 days ago, where he met with, at the greatest investment conference in Riyadh. So there's a lot of, again, but I think a lot of people are waiting for that to be translated, to be, trickle down into people's lives, to see improvement in the standard of living. So, things I think would really bring about the real change that Syrians are hoping for.
You mentioned that meeting in Riyadh because when he was visiting, President Shara said that the transitional government is choosing the path of reconstruction through investment rather than rebuilding Syria through aid and assistance. Surely there is a lot of challenges still in place to attracting that sort of foreign investment. How do you tackle that?
I think we are studying, the government is studying all of those, obstacles. So first of all, I think finally having a legislature will be able to pass laws to protect investment, which is extremely important. I think strengthening stability and security in the country is a second requirement for investment. I think that the effort, the kind of reach out to everyone and to highlight that we are thinking truly in terms of what Syria needs in investment, not aid. That's what we're looking for, and believing in the human resources that Syria always had. It's the ability of Syrians, the resilience of Syrians to rebuild their countries. So, and of course, Syria has other, resources that would really be attractive for anyone. Of course, priorities are giving, to those countries that supported Syria always. So it's a great really opportunity for everyone.
You alluded to this. President Trump has said that he would lift sanctions on Syria, but that repeal requires an act of US congressional support. How confident is the current transitional government that will happen, and in a timely manner?
We are hopeful. First, one actually version of it already passed the Senate. So we are kind of following how it's going to be in the House. And we are again positive that it would pass. And once it's passed, I think the president will sign it, and then that would do it. I think the significance of this, because the Caesar Act is so comprehensive and imposes sanctions not only on the previous regimes, but any country that would do business with Syria. So it's becoming like the last symbol of that's needed to be lifted in order to really attract that investment, which so badly needed.
Is there a hope it will happen by the end of the year?
That's what we're hoping for.
All right, watch this space. Huh?
Okay.
In her opening address at the Manama Dialogue, we heard from the US Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, who said that the Trump administration continues to be focused on expanding the Abraham Accords, as it's being referred to by the administration. Is that on the horizon for Syria?
I think what's on the horizon for Syria is to revive the 1974 arrangements between the two countries. So what we're looking for is support, actually, to end the Israeli continued aggression inside Syria, which is totally unwarranted, totally uncalled for, totally not rational. So Israel has carried out many strikes against Syria, had made incursions into the territories of the demilitarized zone and even beyond. So what we're really interested in is, again, some kind of a security arrangement in the short term. And if that were to create some kind of a confidence building measures, then we would look for the future. Ultimately, we have occupied territories called the Golan Heights. And if Israel is really interested in a long-term peace, which we are, we have to address that question. And I think we have a framework going back to the Arab Peace Initiative presented by Saudi Arabia, which could address not only that, but really the whole Arab-Israeli conflict.
It's going to be an interesting one. Dr. Najib Ghadbian, I really appreciate your time here on Counterpoints. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure.